It's you speaking.
WADR. You can listen to us on 94.9 FM in Dakar through our website www.wadr.org. WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar, 7 o'clock in Porto Novo. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Here are the top stories. Public reaction trails continuous closure of land border between Niger and Benin.
Now,
maybe we should leave this border open at 10 a.m. At 5 p.m., we close it.
African Union Commission warns against Africa's rise in financial debt structure. Deadly clashes between two rival armed groups in Nigeria result in over 200 casualties.
This is not the first time the two factions of the terror group have been fighting between them.
Academic activities resume in Mali after weeks of compulsory break amid fuel scarcity. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast this evening. We begin in the central Sahel region, particularly Niger, where transporters are reacting to the continuous closure of the land border with Benin. Niger's transitional president, General Abdurrahman Tiani, accuses Benin of harboring foreign forces intending to destabilize Niger. This decision, however, is not without consequences for trade between the two countries. Abdullahi Hassan has the details in this report.
In Niamey, transporters are taking steps to ensure the continued closure of the land border with neighboring Benin. Authorities in Niger accuse Benin of harboring foreign soldiers on their territory to facilitate concessions. Bruce Solel serves as the Secretary General of the Democratic Union of Niger.
In his time, the President of the Republic himself said, even today, if the Republic of Benin thanks the French and manages to break the partnership with the French, tomorrow, between Benin and Niger, will be open.
This border closure, which has persisted for 2 years, has significantly impacted trade between Niger and Benin. However, the National Union of Importers and Exporters of Niger is hopeful about the imminent reopening of the border. Its Secretary General, Chumbano Chegu, suggests several potential solutions.
Now, maybe we should leave this border open at 10 a.m. At 5 p.m., we close it. We need radar, scanners. Even if we only have 10 trucks a day, that's already good. And after 5 p.m., we shoot at anything that moves. It's like the president said, we close it at that time. And he's right. He's the one who knows. He's the one who has the information.
Overall, the 2-year closure of the border has not only hindered movement between the populations of Niger and Benin, but has also severely affected trade between Cotonou and Niamey.
Abdullahi Hassan with the details of Mutala Suberu's report from Niamey. In neighboring Mali, students returned to classes for academic activities on Monday after 2 weeks of break. The suspension of classes was due to a fuel shortage that had paralyzed public transport, making it difficult for teachers and students to get to school. The JNIM armed group has imposed a blockade on fuel import routes into the country. Here are reactions from students, teachers, and parents regarding the resumption of classes.
Yes, I am happy. I was eager for classes to resume. I reviewed my lessons and did exercises. Because we are the candidates, we have to make a lot of effort. I asked the older students to also make a lot of effort. I feel better now. I have a lot of motivation to come to school. I was unhappy because the 2 weeks were extended because of the fuel issue. I thought I wouldn't be able to return to school. The suspension slowed us down a bit because when the new school year started, we were so committed. But suddenly, when classes were stopped, it held us back. Since we are in the private sector, we had to really push ourselves, despite the delays, so we can be at the same level as last year. We feel joyous. We are happy, very happy about the reopening, and we hope it will continue.
Reactions of students, teachers, and parents regarding the resumption of classes in Mali. We now cross over to Nigeria, where more than 200 deaths were reported during clashes between fighters from the Boko Haram terrorist group and its offshoot ISWAP. The fight between the two rather armed groups occurred on Sunday in the Dogon Chiku of the Lake Chad Basin, according to several sources, including repentant insurgents. Sources say the gun battle ensued following territorial disputes and ideological differences. Channels TV, citing Babakura Kolo, a former militia, reported that around 200 ISWAP militants were killed, while Boko Haram reportedly lost 4 fighters. Another repentant militant based in Borno, the epicenter of the decade-long insurgency, described the clash as the worst violence between the two groups. Buka Bulama is security analyst in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. He speaks about the situation.
It's very true, and this is not the first time the two factions of the terror group have been fighting between them. This has started about 3 to 4 years ago. Actually, Boko Haram was one single organization. Many people think that they are very strong, indivisible organizations, but eventually, because of Boko Haram ideology and so many terror world or global terror groups such as IS, Islamic State, and then Al-Qaeda, disown Boko Haram, distance themselves from Boko Haram terrorists because of their modes of operation. They don't have a specified or specific objective, and they don't even have a outlined or clear objectives. They kill children, they kill women, they destroy even animals and even trees, and destroy everything. They are entirely destructive. And this was why some of the group members said they cannot continue killing people anyhow. And then ISWAP and other groups decided to divide themselves and form Islamic State for West Africa.
Buka Bulaman is a security analyst in Borno State, northeast Nigeria.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Elsewhere in Guinea, analysis are trailing the potential economic benefits of the Simandou mining project, which was officially launched this Tuesday, November 11, 2025. The site is considered one of the largest mining projects in the world. According to Guinean economists, the exploration of this important iron ore deposit could significantly boost the country's economy and allow for the construction of numerous social infrastructure projects. Bella Ba, a Guinean economist, provides his analysis about the situation.
Si c'est bien géré, ça peut carrément doubler le PIB guinéen.
If it's well managed, it can almost double the GDP of Guinea. It can allow Guinea to have access to direct investments, because the question of the credibility and the ability of Guinea to be solvable can allow Guinea to have funds at the level of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, or the World Bank. The big challenge is how these funds will be managed. During the government of Alpha Condé, we have announced more than $20 billion on the side of China, more than $20 billion on the side of France. But the question of disbursement arose because Guinea does not have enough bankable projects. So today, the Guinean public administration does not have this capacity to absorb funds, and this is the big challenge to be raised, so that each ministry manage to set up projects that are bankable, that are structured to allow these different projects, particularly the Simandu project, to allow Guinea to have roads, to have schools, to have hospitals. So there is really work to be done. It's not like the bauxite that has been exploited since 1958, and so far it has not allowed the Guineans to get out of poverty at all.
Mais jusqu'à date, ça n'a pas du tout permis aux Guinéens de sortir de la pauvreté.
Belaba is a Guinean economist. The African Union Commission is warning about the rise in African debt. In a statement, the chairperson of the AU Commission indicated that the continent's debt continues to grow due to the high cost of borrowing and limited access to concessional financing. This statement was made in Addis Ababa during the G20 Africa Dialogue on Debt Sustainability and Financing Reforms. Sankule Janko tells us more.
According to the African Union Commission, the continent's debt has exceeded $70 billion. This situation is absorbing a growing share of public revenue and at the same time reducing fiscal space. In a statement, the chairperson of the AU Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, indicated that many African governments are dedicating more resources to debt repayment than to invest in development. Furthermore, he added that 57% of the African population lives in countries where debt servicing exceeds social spending. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf called for urgent collective action to restore debt sustainability. The EU Commission chairperson also advocated for improved access for Africa to financing and more equitable terms. He called on the G20, the main global economic cooperation body, to assume its leading role and moral responsibility in reforming this architecture. It should be recalled that Africa's public debt has thus increased from approximately $120 billion in 1990 to nearly $1.8 trillion today, representing almost two-thirds of the continent's GDP.
Sankule Janko fight that report, crossing over to Ghana, where the nation's parliament, the vetting of Chief Justice nominee Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, went ahead on Monday despite a boycott by the minority caucus. The minority's decision to reject the nominee and boycott the vetting stems from what they describe as serious concerns about the selection process and the unresolved legal challenge filed by former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonun over her removal. From Accra, Nadia Tete reports.
The Appointments Committee of Parliament has proceeded with the vetting of Chief Justice nominee Justice Paul Bafo-Boni despite a walkout by the minority members of Parliament. Here is the minority leader, Alexander Panyo-Marking, announcing the NPP side's walkout.
We would want to state on record that the majority can proceed with the questions. We do not intend to proceed with any question. We are, however, registering in the strongest terms that we reject the nomination, and the records should reflect that the report of this committee be a majority report.
According to the minority, their stance is based on what they believe is the illegitimacy of Justice Paul Bafo-Boni's nomination and unresolved legal challenges relating to the removal of former Chief Justice Gertrude Araba-Issa Basaki Tokonun. This is a position the majority leader Mahama Yaraga vehemently opposed.
You know the rules in the Constitution regarding the work of the proceedings. You haven't shown at any stage that the rules in the Constitution governing the work of the committee have been breached in any way. How can you come and sit here and describe the work as opaque, travesty of justice, and improper removal, and etc., and expect me to sit here and allow you to do that? You are clearly violating the rules. And when I try to guide you how to go about your work, then you say that I'm trying to obstruct you.
The Appointments Committee of Parliament, chaired by Bernard Ahiafo, went ahead with the exercise, with Justice Bafuboni responding to questions on judicial independence, corruption in the courts, and the need to enhance public confidence in the judiciary. The committee is expected to present its report to the full House in the coming days for a final decision on the nomination. For WDR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
More news from Ghana. The findings of the committee that investigated the August 6 helicopter crash are set to be made public this Tuesday. This follows the presentation of the committee's final report to President John Mahama and the National Security Council on Monday by the Acting Minister of Defense, Dr. Kassel Atofosan. The tragic crash claimed the lives of 8 individuals, including Defense Minister Dr. Edouard Omanin Boema, Environmental Minister Dr. Ibrahim Mutalan Mohammed, and Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator Munuru Mohammed Limona. Dr. Atofosan said the committee concluded a thorough and independent probe into the circumstances surrounding the crash. While details of the findings remain confidential for now, the disclosure is expected to provide clarity on the causes of the incident and outline measures to improve aviation safety in Ghana. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa, Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Public reaction trails continuous closure of land border between Niger and Benin. African Union Commission warns against Africa's rising financial debt structure. Deadly clashes between 2 rival armed groups in Nigeria result in over 200 casualties. Academic activities resume in Mali after weeks of compulsory break amid fuel scarcity. Still ahead in the news, we have guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
And thanks for being with us. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now take you to Banjul, the Gambian capital that is hosting officials from across West Africa for a regional training on cross-border financial statistics. The workshop, which opened on Monday, brings together financial analysts, economists, policymakers, technical experts, and researchers from ECOWAS member states, including the Gambia. The objective is to compile cross-border position statistics vital for tracking a country's financial connections with the rest of the world. WADR's Sang Donna Mendy completes the story.
The 5-day event comes at a time when global finance is rapidly shifting, with financial instruments becoming more complex and economies increasingly impacted. Bedri Zamari is a senior economist and a statistician at the International Monetary Fund, IMF.
Updating a core statistical framework like the balance of payments is not just about adjusting concepts on paper. It's about ensuring that concepts on the ground have the tool, training, and guidance they need to apply the new statistical standards effectively.
Serif Toure, Director of Research at the Central Bank of the Gambia, who spoke on behalf of the governor, said accurate cross-border statistics are crucial for designing policies that maintain financial stability and promote sustainable growth.
They also inform monetary and exchange rate policies, enabling central banks to gauge reserve adequacy and maintain financial confidence.
Over the coming days, delegates will exchange experiences with regional counterparts and work with IMF experts to strengthen institutions and improve evidence-based policy making across the region. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Sang Donald Mendy, Banjul.
Well, the world's largest climate gathering, COP30, kicked off in Brazil on Monday with several leaders and thousands of delegates, including climate experts, academics, researchers, business moguls, CSOs, and media in attendance. A decade since the Paris Agreement, the outgoing presidency of the Climate Summit, COP29, Azerbaijan said the era marks a phase of implementation. However, President of COP29, Mukhtar Babayi, like his predecessors, stated that gap remains in the $100 billion annual climate financing for mitigation and adaptation measures, despite several pledges made. Babayi was speaking at the opening of the COP30 in Brazil before handing over to his successor.
As an outgoing presidency, this is our solemn duty. By fulfilling past promises, we restore faith in the system. We prove that building more agreements is not in vain, but the history of holding donors to account for the $100 billion is a disappointing one. It was raised at these podiums many times by many leaders, and we are forced to find more creative ways to make our points. So let me try this. Today, we are presenting donors with this invoice, which you can find on our COP29 media channels. This covers that donors have already promised. It includes the essential milestones that will keep us on track. First, we must double adaptation finance. This was due to the end of 2025, and the deadline is almost upon us. So developed countries must use every moment remaining to close the gap. Second, we need to triple the UN climate funds by 2030. This was a key demand of small island development states, and we all agreed. So we need substantial contributions to each fund's next replenishment round. The invoice concludes with the $300 billion promised by 2035. And in the same way, we expect countries to publish 10 years of plans in their NDCs and NAPs. This is a new era. It is a decade that demands delivery, not debate.
Mukhtar Babayi is the outgoing president of COP30.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest is a journalist and security analyst in Borno State, the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency in northeast Nigeria. Bukar Bulaman tells us about the recent clashes between fighters from Boko Haram terrorist group and ISWAP, which was largely driven by the quest for territorial control.
Is the control of the territory, as you say, each of which want to have the control of the entire danger zone. Sambisa Forest, Boko Haram is now controlling part of Sambisa Forest and Mandra Mountain, and ISWAP is very active along the Lake Chad, fringes of Lake Chad and Niger Republic. But sometimes you can see ISWAP attacking Boko Haram. ISWAP even killed Abubakar Shako, according to so many reported or narrations. But now, Boko Haram, I don't know how they were empowered. They went up to the fringes of Lake Chad and killed majority of ISWAP fighters. And I don't know what happened to the ISWAP this time around. But most of the attacks that took place before, it was the ISWAP that pursuing the Boko Haram terrorists. But this time around, ISWAP suffered most casualties and they lost a very large territory to the Boko Haram fighters.
Now, this reported came shortly after the new Chief of Defense Staff visited Maiduguri, that is Borno State, where he gingered or motivated soldiers at the battlefront to go on to eliminate or eradicate all fighters. To what advantage is this now to the army?
Many ISWAP fighters that were arrested and kept in military custody were negotiated and being released. They are now called repentant fighters. They are fully armed, trained, and moving alongside with Nigerian military, and sometimes they are moving alone, fighting and killing terrorists. They don't differentiate ISWAP, and they don't differentiate Boko Haram. And initially, it was the strategy of Nigerian military that led to the separation between the two groups, or led to the faction of ISWAP and Boko Haram. It was the military strategy purely, and Nigerian government and military and civilian are enjoying the fights between the two terrorist groups, and that is at the advantage of the citizens, the government, and also the military and other security operative, because the more they fight, they reduce their populations, and the government is, massively gaining or recording these successes.
It's almost 15 years or more since the insurgency began in northeast Nigeria, Borno State precisely being the epicenter. How far has it been for the state and the region, their journey towards rebuilding?
There are a lot of reconstruction, settlement, and rehabilitation program put in place by the previous administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari. And at the state level, Governor Babagana Omar Azulam, and in other state, Yobe, we have Maimala Buni and Omoro Fintri in Adamawa State. Let me talk about Borno State, where I'm residing. I know what the government is doing in collaboration with the World Bank, with so many NGOs and local NGOs like Victim Support Funds, like Northeast Development Commission, the ongoing clearance operation, military use to pursue all the enclaves, and then this organization and federal government reconstruct the villages, towns, and mini cities. And that is how civil authorities are being established again for the first time in, I think, 16 years, and people were being resettled, they were being economically empowered, and they continue to pick up the pieces of their life and continue living and managing their life.
Bukal Bulaman is a journalist and a security analyst from Nigeria. Now, in the world of sports, 4 African heavyweights, Cameroon, Nigeria, DR Congo, and Gabon, are battling for just one spot in the FIFA World Cup 2026 playoff tournament. Between them, they've been to 15 World Cups, but only one will survive this week's decisive playoffs in Morocco. Cameroon leads the pack with a record 8 appearances, including the historic 1990 quarterfinal run and the lost outing in Qatar 2022. Nigeria has 6 finals to their name, last seen in Russia 2018. DR Congo, known as Zaire in 1974, made 1 appearance, while Gabon is chasing its first ever qualification. The action kicks off Thursday in Rabat. Nigeria faces Gabon first, followed by Cameroon against DR Congo. The winners meet Sunday again in Rabat to decide who moves on to the 6-nation playoff tournament in March 2026 alongside Bolivia, New Caledonia, and teams from Asia and CONCACAF. Nigeria, the highest ranked side, but only narrowly made it through as one of Africa's best runners up. Gabon, powered by informed striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and the ever-dangerous DR Congo and Cameroon will also be pushing for history. It's winner takes all, no second chances, and one final ticket towards the World Cup dream is at stake. And those are some of the latest development in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink, right here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening. Many thanks to Falilu So and Sheikh Jai for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR English, on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Cully. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening.